Hi, I'm Annette Bush, and I'm an art director here at Healthwise. And today I'm going to talk to you about how the atomic design methodology is transforming our design and implementation process as we develop our products here. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a meeting and everybody's talking and you think the meeting's going really well, and halfway through the meeting you understand that everybody is miscommunicating and nobody understands a word that you just said, and you probably spend the rest of the meeting trying to get back on the same page and just understand each other? Well, that's one thing that was happening to us, particularly when we talk about design. It seems to be a bit of a mystery. And I'm going to start by giving you a little context about what was happening within our company, our possible solution, and then where we're heading now. So when we do product development, we have to work with a bunch of cross teams, multifunction teams. And at some point, each of these teams will participate in either the design creation, the implementation, or just sustaining our products. And oftentimes, we don't really know how to talk to each other about design. And in the past, we used to work where we built one product and it had its own unique little design. And then we would build another product and it had its own unique design. And then somewhere along the line, we figured out that we could take components from each of these products and integrate them across a broad spectrum of our products. But that looked really horrible when we did that, because they each had their own unique design, and now they were incohesive and just a horrible experience, and we scrambled to try to fix everything. So we were lacking a system to look across our products at all of our styles and our components and see how we could build a system that would integrate cohesively. And then we've long moved away from this notion of building, pixel perfect pages, very intricate designs that were elaborate and really difficult to implement. And we've moved away to these more modular components that are easy to customize and reuse. But we still have some products that are in this sort of rigid style of the old style. And we lacked a process to migrate them to this new style. As well as the current components, we needed a way to sustain them and continue to evolve them. So some things that we were looking for and pondering on and how to fix this is, how could we communicate across teams? How could we view all of our components and styles in one place that we could go to? And what kind of process could we use? And I happened to go to a conference and workshop, and I got to see Brad Frost talk, and he is the originator of atomic design. And so he walked us through his methodology, and I thought, this is great. I think I have something that I can take back to my company and figure out how to improve our products. And I'm going to walk through his methodology really quick. It's based on atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages, and starting with atoms. Atoms are what we were looking for. All of our components laid out in a laundry list. We have all of our styles, all the button types that we use, labels, colors, whatever we have in our products. It's not very functional at this level, but it gives us a bit of an oversight so we can see what we're using and what we don't have, what we do have and don't have. And then we start to build those atoms, and we start to put them together, and we start creating modular molecules. I can't say that. So very simply, it's just combining two atoms together where you have maybe an entry field, a button, a search, a label, and maybe a style. And then we have this reusable pattern that we can put into our library and use in many different places. From there, we start building more complex patterns. perhaps a image and text blocks here. And then we move on to templates. This is where we're going, building more complex templates that we can continue to reuse again and again. And finally, our pages are really our final product. It's not a page in the old sense of that rigid design structure, but it's just a way to validate our designs, maybe do some testing, and then make sure the final product works together. And the whole crux of this is creating this living style guide, place where we can house all of our components, maybe label them, make it easy to find, attach the styles, maybe some code, how to use it, when to use it. Now, this is not anything new. It's been around for a while. And we've even tried to implement this before. In a hackathon project, we did a prototype of it, what that would look like, but it never really got enough traction. And so it kind of died, our project died. So what really needed to happen here was we needed organizational support. I think that's one of the reasons that it died. And maybe it didn't actually solve all of the problems that we needed, which was, were the language, the housing of the components, and the implementation process. So I created a presentation. I came back from this workshop, created a presentation, and I went out to my product development team, and I had to pitch this to everybody to get organizational support. I picked all kinds of people that I thought were influencers within our organization. And everyone from a director to a manager to, people actually working in their area of expertise. And we talked about atomic design and how it could help them improve their jobs, improve their lives, as well as mine. That was kind of a sneaky portion of it. And along the way, we looked for opportunities. Our company is very dependent on the backlog and what's on the backlog. And if we can't get support to work on a project that is existing and insert our test into it, it could potentially fail. So we looked for project opportunities. And then something wonderful happened. I had gone to all these people, presented this idea, found common ground with a lot of them, and they went out to their groups and they started talking about it and talking about the potential that this could have to transform our product development process. And they talked to more people and so on and so on. And eventually we achieved our goal of this methodology, getting a line or a place on our roadmap. Now the hard part started to happen. We had to actually figure out how we're going to do this. Who were the team, who were we going to put on the team, what kind of infrastructure did we need, what projects were we going to tackle first. So we started out with me, the designer, and our engineering lead and a product manager to tackle just those basic problems. And then we gradually are adding more people as we go along. One of the first things that we did is conducted a design workshop where we printed out a bunch of different types of design components and styles, and we had some scissors and we chopped them all up and we attached labels to them and tried to organize it into some sort of path that we could follow. How do other people interpret these icons and patterns and designs? And we got a variety of different language to use. I think sometimes there's a lot of language for text. Everybody seems to have their own unique language. The next thing we're doing, and we're working on this right now, is if we build this style guide and we label all of these components, what are the jobs that others are coming to our site to do? What do they really need from this site? We have an assumption, but we want to find out for sure. So we're collecting ideas of the jobs that need to be done and understanding their pains and where we can make their life better. And then one of the first things that we did do is this design audit. So looking across all of our products, collecting everywhere we have used a button, everywhere we've used an entry field or an accordion or some sort of icon, and we collected those all in one place to look across our products. And we've seen, you can see I've got a ton of different types of buttons up there. Some are nice, some are horrible. They don't all look the right way. They look all so different. But what we could do from here is we can take all of these mishmash of buttons and we can consolidate that into one or two. And we can give them a style that can be integrated across all of our products. And here's an example of a portion of that design audit. We took one of our products and we tried to actually, and it looks like it's getting chopped off up there, have atoms, molecules, organisms, and templates across the top. But we took one of our products and we broke it down into all of the atoms, and how we might, combine those atoms into molecules, organisms, and templates. And one of the things that I think will potentially be the hardest for us is we can't always call a radio button all the way across from an atom to a molecule and an organism. You're starting to build larger components and assets, and they need a new name to reflect that. When we get to our templates, I think this might potentially give us a new way of designing. Since we'll have this new library and we'll have groupings of different types of components up here, we may not design in the fashion that we've been designing before. We may not see any of this stuff on a page. You might see just these blue dotted lines that tells you what molecule to use potentially in the future. So that was an interesting revelation. So I mentioned that our engineering resource, our developer, was a key player in this. And he went out to look at our code. And this is another big problem for us in the design of our assets, that we could have a radio button, but it could be coded 5 different ways in 5 different places. Since we have a really large development group, and everybody codes differently within those groups. And so passing code and assets throughout the groups can really exponentially blow up the code. And we had a significant amount of third-party products in there. So we need to account for a way that we will translate all of those assets into something new and get rid of these. We'd like to wean ourselves off of all of these eventually. And I think Wendy mentioned React. That's going to be our savior too. So the other thing is we have a lot of very complex products. We need to be able to customize all of these assets and push them out into different places or for different clients. And so some of them need to look a certain way. And if we want to house everything in this living style guide, we'd like to just change it in one place and be able to push it out to everyone that needs it and make an instantaneous change. And this React framework will give us that capability. It'll also help us that we're building for just this one component, so it's sort of standalone and it can be used in multiple places and recomposed in different areas. I'm looking forward to it. So where we are now is that we've completed an audit of all of our products. We are putting them, we've got 4 products maybe into the Atomic Design Framework right now. And we'll be migrating more. We're starting to look at the labels and the organization of those products. And then our engineering group has completed our first test. They've just recently got the React product installed in our systems. I can't even talk to the engineering stuff because it's all a mystery to me. But and they started developing our components now and putting them into the atomic framework. And we'll be able to start looking at that test and assimilating how that's done. And then I'm working with my IA guy, Paul, and we're conducting meetings with our various product groups and trying to organize and label the new style guide as it comes out and define what's there. So that's a bit of a snapshot of where we are and where we're going in the future. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Questions for Annette? Ooh, Deb.
As a technical writer who has to write the admin guides and user guides for all our products, I am so excited about this.
Oh, good.
I hope there's a way that I can have a data topic of all the labels and all the components that I can just cross-reference into the documentation and say, press this button, and if you change that button in the user interface, it changes in my documentation automatically.
Yeah, I guess I don't think we're quite there yet, but I have a broader vision of this style guide. I think your documentation is going to provide or be an essential part of it, and we could maybe link to it potentially. I think this guide is going to transform us in ways that we haven't figured out yet. And then I'm working upcoming with Chris Hess, because you know those really elaborate DIT topics, that really kind of crazy one with all of the boxes around it. We're trying to figure out how atomic design and structured content meet, and where they meet and how they'll work together. That'll be one of our next explorations.
Other questions? All right.
Cool.
Thank you, Annette.
Yep.
Yay! All right, so we're a little ahead of schedule, so we'll end a little bit early. We have 2 things left. We're going to, how about, you see these stickies in front of you?
Do you need anything?
Find a sticky, an orange sticky, a watermelon sticky. During the course of the day, has an idea for a topic to discuss with your fellow man in this room come to mind? Jot it down, just 1 or 2 or 6, anything during the day that you thought, I want to have a group discussion about this. When you've jotted it down, stick it on the whiteboard over here, and then let's do like a 10-minute break, and when we come back, we'll do our table topics, and then switch over to Carl and call it a day. How does that sound? Sound okay? Okay, awesome.